I'm Georgina Hall, and this is the Female Empowered Podcast, inspired by the casual conversations I've had with thousands of women over my career in coaching. This is not just another wanky women's wellness podcast. We are bringing the uprising. Hi friends, welcome to the Female Empowered Podcast. I'm your host, Georgina Hall, personal trainer, online coach, offerer of opinions on all the things. And today I'm joined by another offerer of opinion on lots of things. It's Sunni Torchman. Sunni is a coach as well, personal trainer, boxer, online, in person, Instagrammer. No bullshit, research, evidence-based poster, content maker, and all things.
Yeah. Thanks for the intro, mate.
Maybe you should intro yourself a little bit more specifically.
Okay, so like you, I've been a personal trainer for a minute, but basically how I got introduced to all of these other things and then began to collect opinions on all of the things was just feeling so uneducated on a lot of things. So I did my PT course and I was like, I don't know shit about how to train people. I just don't. I feel even less qualified than I did before I started it. So then, did a bit of sports science, and then I'm like, I still don't feel, and that's still sort of cracking on in the background. And then since then I've done some nutrition certifications because I was like, I don't know how to help people reach their goals. And even after that is some of the things that they don't teach us in nutrition certifications. It's like, I guess the teaching is like, if you give everybody all the answers, information on how to eat healthy, then they will just magically eat healthy. And it's like, you don't just give people macros and off you. I mean, it would be fucking easy if it was like that, but yeah, so then it's just like I'm just going further and further down the rabbit hole and not feeling any more confident the further I go. And so I end up dabbling in a lot of things, but yeah.
That's the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it?
Yes. Top amount stupid.
Yeah. The stupid people often shout the loudest, and the more you learn, the more you know how much you don't know.
Yeah.
So you tend to find the inexperienced people or the kind of overconfident, maybe a little bit ignorant people shouting the loudest about how certain and correct they are in certain things.
Mm-hmm. And not to be all high and mighty and like elitist, because I was that once.
Oh, because we went on a journey.
Yeah, I was like way down the bottom of Mount Stupid, thinking I knew everything. When you get a bit, and then you're like, oh, I'm ready to give the people the information.
Yeah. Right, I've got this. I've got a stick. Yeah. Let's go. Come on, everyone. Yeah. Listen to me. Hey, we've all made mistakes, haven't we?
Yeah.
I cringe at some of the things that I've told people.
Oh, me too. And like 3 months ago, I'll cringe at something I said 3 months ago because I keep learning. Yeah. And you just catch yourself saying, and it's a lot of the times it's because some of the things that it comes from a lack of education, and especially in the fitness space, I find some of the things that you catch yourself saying is because some things are so ingrained.
Yeah.
Like I remember saying the other day, I posted something a little while ago saying, see, not all weight gain is bad. And it was a picture of me that had just gained basically muscle. And it's like, wow, what are you trying to say there?
Yeah. Well, it's like a minefield now, isn't it? Because a certain, probably part of social media world, not all of it, but part of the social media world, probably the part that you and I are in, are about giving out information and giving out the facts and giving out the practical advice, but also with a view to be kind of compassionate and responsible in the messaging, in that using your body to sell certain things or using your body to make certain messages or to make people read certain messages even. That's the minefield, isn't it?
Yeah, because those thirst traps, they get the engagement, babes.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to be like, this is why I'm sort of worthy or why I'm an expert, because we just perpetuate the shit that we're trying to beat down.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult.
Well, I mean, I used to have abs. When I used to have abs,
Oh.
deteriorated over the last couple of years. I'll be like, right, put a picture of my abs on, that'll get some likes, and people will think that I know what I'm talking about because I look like I know what I'm talking about. I'm smarter now. I'm way smarter. I know more things, but the abs aren't as good.
Mate, I agree. I do feel like now I get less engagement on the side where people like, oh yeah, she definitely knows what she's talking about, because maybe I don't use my body to educate, speak about certain things, and so it's like, yeah, okay, but where's your abs?
Yeah. Where've your abs gone? Georgina, we haven't seen your abs in a while. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about anymore. But I've read more books, guys. I've read more books.
Yeah. It's really annoying.
Let's take a little segue and tell me where your accent's from, Sunny.
It's from Australia, but I feel like it's blending into a British accent because I've been here since 2015. Everyone here says that, but I catch myself saying "what" without the T.
What? We were just having this conversation about where my accent's from before we press record. And like, I've been in Newcastle for about 13 years maybe now, so all my family think I sound like Ant and Dec. They just think that I sound really Geordie, but everyone in Newcastle is like, nah. Some of them like think that I'm really posh.
Oh, mine too. They're like, okay, Your Majesty, whenever I call home. Or either that, or it'll be like, you sound like you're from London.
Really? So
Yeah.
you're in London though, aren't you?
Hey? Yeah.
And when I'm next in London, I'm coming to see you, whether I'm invited or not, because
we're going to train. We're going to do all the training.
I want to come and box with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to box you. I don't want to spar. I've seen you. But I do want to come and box with you.
Yeah, I would love to take you on pads, girl. You look powerful. I want to feel that power.
That's another string to your bow, isn't it? So you coach at Islington Boxing Club, right?
Yeah.
I actually think that I have seen you before I started following you on Instagram from following boxing stuff. I think I've seen you in Islington ABC stuff, like back when I used to compete.
Who did you compete for?
Swalwell Boxing Club.
Cool.
Little place near Newcastle. Swalwell ABC was my team.
Nice.
And I haven't done that in a while. But it was good times. I used to love boxing as training. It was hard work. I put a post on last night about, staying on weight, and that's the time in my life when I needed to know what I weighed. And now, yes, it doesn't matter. I don't know. And when people come to me and they talk about how much they weigh and I want to weigh this, I'm like, why? Have you got a fight?
Yeah, and also the culture around boxing is sometimes you've got to, like, I had to find myself, sometimes I catch myself going, oh, you can't just go and ask anyone what their weight is, because basically, the greeting in boxing is, hi, how are you, how much do you weigh? Because everyone's kind of seeing where everyone's at.
Yeah, for sure. Where else do you do that? Hi, I'm Georgina, I'm 65 kilos.
Yeah, exactly. Is that what was it like stepping away? Do you miss it? Do you have any regrets?
No, it was time. Like, I was just starting to feel like I was always the oldest person at like kind of weight training and stuff like that, and I was starting to feel like I was nearly old enough to be some of the kids' mum, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just getting too old to be punched in the face off a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But I did love it, and I do sometimes miss the training aspect of it. But I used to hate competing, man.
True.
I used to get so nervous.
Yeah.
And like I say, the lifestyle of staying on a certain weight and all of that, it didn't fit with where I'm at now.
It's funny how in boxing, they don't give you a lot of tools to manage your anxiety around competition. Like literally no training. I never had any. And it's interesting because all the coaches will acknowledge that sport is 80% mental. And when you're competing, they will yell stuff at you like, just relax, just relax. But they don't teach you how to fucking relax.
Yeah. I remember sitting in the corner one day and I was like getting panned. I was getting beaten. And my coach was like, just take deep breaths, take deep breaths. And he's like, you're fine, you're fine. I'm like, I'm not fine. I'm not fine.
Oh no. Yeah, we've all been there. It's awful.
Really hard.
Yeah.
But I actually started following you on Instagram through Danny, Free Fanny, who has been on the podcast as well. She's I really like Danny. I really like Danny's messaging. She's similar to us in that she's kind of no shit. She says what she thinks. She's very authentic. She talks about the highs and the lows of all of this, and very open and honest about like where she's kind of at. And your Instagram says the same, right? It's you're no bullshit.
Yeah, I'm in the no bullshit crowd. I mean, I'm on some bullshit, but I mean, I guess.
But genuinely no bullshit, because some people say that they're no bullshit. Sometimes people build a career on no bullshit and are full of shit.
Yeah. But oh man, the more I learn again, the more I'm like, what even is bullshit? And what if I'm saying now I learn, 6 months from now that was bullshit? And it's all scary.
We all have to learn off someone. And I've learned off people who've got loads of followers. They've got a very successful fitness business. Some of them are coaching other coaches now. And things that I look back on that they've told me that then I told people absolute shite, and I'm like, wow, they told me that. Like, hopefully they've learned and grown and stuff as well, but it's like we're all just learning, and this is kind of ever changing, all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's really difficult, I find, in this current, I guess, climate to learn on the go, because everybody expects you to be perfect. Like I know, like I heard you and Danny chatting about like cancel culture and stuff, and sometimes I'm almost, I don't know if you get this when you're when you want to talk about a subject online, or you say, oh, should I say that? Am I gonna say the wrong thing? Because that doesn't feel like sometimes there's a lot of space to allow you to grow, to make mistakes, to learn as you go. It's like you got to kind of say the right thing the first time, and if you kind of step out of line, and it has paralyzed me many times.
Yeah, I get that. Like, there's sometimes when you think, oh, I'm going to post about this, but I guess it's also come from the fact that we've grown as coaches, because I have more coaches following me now than I ever have done before. And sometimes I think, oh, like I'm not just speaking to people who have no idea anymore. I'm also speaking to people who have some idea. And it's about forgetting that and going, actually, the post that I'm putting out right now is supposed to help this person here. So let's not worry about what any of those people think, because they'll have their own ideas and ways of doing things. But I do sometimes worry about the exact same thing of, is there space to be wrong in this?
Yeah. Oh man, I've got about 20 unfinished Canva posts because I'm like, well, one, because I'm a massive procrastinator and perfectionist, which is two sides of the same coin. Yeah. And another reason is because I'm like, oh, what if, so I've got one that's like about comfort eating, and another one that's about basically you will never look like your favorite fitness influencer because of things like, and it was going to be about cognitive biases, such as survivorship bias and things like that. And it's like, I just don't know where to begin with that stuff. I don't know if it's even worth saying, because sometimes I'm like, what I think is interesting in my mind probably isn't to other people.
Oh, I think just put out what's interesting. But it did, like, sometimes you do think, oh, I'm going to write this. And when I start writing, then it goes into something else. And then I'm like, it's too many things. It's too many things. So like, that's a different thing. Like, stop, because you're trying to put in all the nuances, aren't you? And sometimes that's the worst thing about Instagram is people sitting on the fence. Sometimes that really irritates me. It's like, you're trying to keep everyone happy there, hon. What do you really think? So sometimes I think it's just best to go, this is what, like, certain people who we have discussed before, big top of the food chain fitness influencers, put stuff out, and I think, like, how have you been allowed to put that out? How have the people around you allowed you to put that out and say that, like, that's horrific? But at the same time, I think, but at least they've said what they think. Like, there's no milling about. Like, I can just hit unfollow now because that's not for me.
Yeah.
Like, please everyone. I'm like, ugh.
You do gotta admire the fuck itness of it all. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you say, like some of these people, like a lot of the things, I feel like collectively with everything that's happened over the last, year or so, we've all had to do a lot of learning, had to do a lot of soul searching with, some people like, race relations and LGBTQ stuff coming to the fore. And just, again, it was like for me, for a lot of people, I feel like there are just a lot of holes, gaps in my knowledge, and I need to get it right. And one thing that I kind of realize is that if you don't, and this is why I guess one of the main reasons why they say representation matters, and not just representation, but because there is a lot of representation is actually tokenism. And it's like you only allow these people to be represented in these boxes, whereas like, normal, like cis white whatever people can be really complex characters. But say, for example, if you've got, black characters, they're only allowed to exist as a Jezebel or as a mulatto or as a mammy or, these all sort of tropes. And then it's like, if you don't have black friends, if you don't have queer friends, if you don't have trans friends, if you don't have friends with disabilities, you are going to have biases about those people because your only interaction with those people is through the media. Yeah. And that's going to shape how you think about them.
I think you see that a lot with, there was a lot of stuff coming around about trans people with regards to the Olympics and stuff. And was it something like 1 in 20? I should fact check these things before I say them, but I think it might be like only 1 in 20 people know a trans person. So you haven't got the human connection that you've got with other populations. And that makes a massive difference.
Yeah. And even if you don't know a trans person personally, consuming content that's made by trans people or just like having more visibility in the media, it has been shown to reduce bigotry and things like that. So like, and that makes it really difficult because then people go, as soon as you start seeing more and more diversity in the media, people are like, oh, it's the gay agenda or whatever. And it's like,
well, you know what? I felt the same thing in Pride Month. Like, I kept putting posts out in Pride Month because I actually had this conversation with Danny and she was like, oh, I definitely got more visibility and more followers when the Black Lives Matter protest started last year again. And I was like, oh, I'll see what happens if we kind of hashtag in LGBTQ and Pride and stuff over Pride Month. honestly got so many unfollows because it's like you're allowed.
Photos.
Yeah, man, loads. And like I have a nice little echo chamber, and I'd rather that the people who don't want to hear that just move along the bus, like see you later, goodbye. But it's like, okay, we get it, you're gay, but you don't have to talk about being gay. I'm like, yeah, you do actually. This is what representation is. Me 10 years ago needs to hear this, so there's people now that need to hear this. Someone needs to know that there's a person standing up and having their back. And you don't get that if you're silent. And I tell you who's amazing at this right now, Lil Nas. Have you seen Lil Nas?
I'm a full-fledged stan. Just proper stan. Lil Nas just. And the way he trolls as well. Oh my God.
He's
yeah.
He's
phenomenal. He's amazing.
Like, God, we get it, you're gay, but you don't have to talk about it. And he's like, well, it's a heteronormative society. So all gay people are doing is the same. It's just that it's more abnormal because this is what you're used to. Like having gay people in soaps, oh my God. Like you get so many complaints, but it's so good to have gay people in soaps because it's life. And people need to see all life being represented on the television.
Yeah. And not just fucking queer baiting, like genuine relationships, like and not just from a place of like, oh, why does the gay person have something horrible happen to them? So like, why can't they just have a good normal life like all the other characters? And I don't know. There's some ways to go, but like it's so great to see that.
That's what I loved about Schitt's Creek, because there's these queer relationships happening throughout the storyline, but it's not about being queer. They're just queer people having the same stories and the same stuff that straight people have. Who'd have thought it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, some of the shit that people get wound up about really, I guess, shows certain things about them that they probably don't even realize. There's a subreddit that I used to follow ages ago called "Are the Straights Okay?" I don't know if you follow it, but it's just great. It's just
sounds amazing.
It's amazing, and they are fucked up. Like we are fucked up. I'm going to say this as a straight person. And it's just hilarious seeing like a collection of, oh my God. Yeah, I had to sort of unfollow that sub and a bunch of others that just were helping me to procrastinate, but it was great.
Yeah, it's good. It's like, the people who complain about there's too many black people in the Sainsbury's advert now. Are you feeling underrepresented as a cis white person?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah, for the first time.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, the first time you ever see black people in a Sainsbury's ad is too much. And it's like, and you say that there's no racism in this country. I actually had an argument with someone recently who said that. So there's nothing wrong with being a minority. You get as many rights. You get more rights than us. You get all these handouts and rah, rah, rah. And it's like, well, if there's nothing wrong with being a minority, then why do you care about being sidelined? Why do you care about these other people being represented in the media, getting opportunities that you once just fucking had because of existing? Anyway.
It's entitlement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear there. You're not afraid to talk about this on the socials though, are you?
Nah. But even now, I'm scared to fuck it up. I'm scared to fuck it up a lot, but at the same time, it's like people know where I stand, and if they don't want to follow me, they can easily unfollow. The thing that I worry about is I want to bridge the gap between. I don't want to be so. I want to hold the views that I hold, and I want to express the views that I hold, but I don't want to do it in a cunty, self-righteous way, because I also don't want to alienate people that are maybe think different to me or are on the fence, especially.
Yeah.
Like what we saw with Brexit and things like that. It's like you have this silent majority, like you mentioned before about us being in an echo chamber, and everybody lives in their own echo chamber. And what happened with the Brexit thing is most people in London were like, you know, progressives, and they just assumed the whole country would vote to stay. And then it's the silent majority, because it's stuff that people aren't allowed to say. And sometimes it's like really unsavory opinions about race or gender or whatever. But they know that because people have, you know, cancelled other people and made such a, basically like online public hangings of people expressing certain things, they know to shut up about it.
Yeah.
But they keep thinking those things because they don't have an opportunity to engage in conversation. And so they just shut up. And when the vote comes around, they tell you how they feel without telling you how they feel. Yeah. And then people are shocked. They're like, what? And then what we do is go, how could you be so fucking stupid? Rah! We go off our dick at them. And then they just go, okay, I'm just going to stay quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they pretty much vote for it again through a prime minister or something. Yeah. And just stick it to us even more. So it's like, yeah, it's finding that balance of, you know, having my opinions and trying to not convince people. I'm not trying to, you know, you shouldn't trust anything. Like I have that tattooed on my body, like it's the nullius in verba, like on the word of no one. You know, I want to listen to people, but I want to see for yourself. Like, yeah. You know, I don't want you to believe anything I say. I don't want you to believe anything anyone says. I want you to maybe take it in, but just find out for yourself whether that's true or not, because I could be wrong. I don't fact check everything I say.
Yeah, forge your own opinions, or
yeah,
information that you might want to take into account. Yeah, I think the same thing. It's like, you know, you don't want to say that, like, no one's saying that every straight person is homophobic. But what we're saying is, if you are a straight person who isn't homophobic and you hear someone being homophobic, please could you say something? Because if I do it, I'm another bitter queer person with a chip on their shoulder. Whereas you have the power to actually educate or change someone's opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, the people who are in these minorities, not only are they the worst affected by these things in society, they also too often have to fucking shoulder the burden, because we like to be comfortable. There's like this in The Art of Gathering, this woman, I can't remember what her name is, but she wrote the book The Art of Gathering, and she's excellent at sort of what do you call it, sort of crisis, like resolution, you know, meeting with people who are like on complete opposite factions of, I don't know, a political spectrum or whatever it might be. And she was saying, like, one of the things that is really difficult about, you know, bringing people together is, I don't know where I was going with that, sorry.
What it's made me think of, just to give you a second to think about where the end of your sentence was going to go, is, you know, during all the Black Lives Matter protests last year, 2020, I heard Abraham, is that what he's called?
Yeah.
On the Brené Brown podcast, and he was saying it's about kind of, instead of attacking somebody, it's their behavior that you're commenting on. So rather than say, you are racist, you're a racist piece of shit, that doesn't allow them the room to change. Whereas if you say, what you just said there was racist, here's why, here's what you could do better, then it's their behavior that you're commenting on, which gives them the room to change their behavior. It's not ingrained.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that draws a lot of parallels with fitness, because you probably do this as well, but a lot of the work that we do, when, you know, you have a check-in with someone and maybe they haven't stuck to their nutrition or their mindset goals, or they haven't done as many training sessions as they would have liked, they start critiquing themselves, and it's like, instead of their behavior, and it's like, you're not bad because you didn't eat 100 grams of protein. And it's because then it just becomes a moral issue instead of something that's sort of changeable. And I feel like that's the same with the racism chat. Like, you know, if you allow people that space, like you say, to separate themselves from behavior, because, man, the worst thing you can call a white person is a racist. They care more about being called a racist than they care about doing the anti-racist shit. Like, it's the worst. Like, cunt is nothing. Racist is like the magic word.
That's actually a term of endearment up here anyway.
Same as in Australia. This cunt's my best mate.
Yeah. Canny little cunt.
Yeah, it's also feminist as fuck compared to vagina.
The vagina monologues.
The origins of that word.
The first one in the vagina monologues is reclaiming cunt.
Yeah. Oh, is it? I need to watch that.
Definitely one of them. Yeah. So sticking on fitness now that we've come all the way back here, we went on a massive tangent about kind of identifying with behaviors, isn't it? That's the thing. I had a consultation with someone who told me that they weren't an active person. Like, I've got friends who are active, but I just like eating lunch and shopping. And I'm like, you can enjoy shopping, enjoy lunch, and be an active person. You can be all those things. You have to be very careful about what you identify with. I'm lazy. I'm just unmotivated. I'm just greedy. You're not any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a growth mindset, isn't it, Carol Dweck?
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta catch them. You know, you gotta catch them and yourself. Like I have check-ins with my own coach, and I say things like that all the time. Well, not all the time, but sometimes. But it's just like, you know, that mindfulness stuff. And to me, it sounded coming from listening to a lot of, you know, listening and reading to a lot of like scientific skepticism. I was very wary of mindfulness because it just sounded a bit woo.
Yeah.
But the way that it was best put to me was it's situational awareness. It's like, you know, the problem isn't, you know, the fact that you might eat a bit much for what your goals are or whatever that might be. It's that maybe you have some stuff that you're not aware of. Maybe you get a little bit anxious about all the work that's piling up behind you, and that makes you turn to food. And so it's like, okay, why is that? And maybe when you feel a bit uncomfortable or you feel threatened, you then want to turn to food. And, you know, why is that? And that's one of the most interesting things about coaching is that we make it like it's I am the expert and you are the novice, when actually your client has all the answers, not you. It's like we just need to give them the space to explore that.
Yeah.
And we're like
most of my consultation or most of my nutrition chats is asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's usually in the answering of the question that they go, oh yeah. And I'm like, interesting.
God, I feel like a lot of people probably don't even get past my application form. It's got like 50 questions on it.
Tell us about your application form.
So it just goes like it's basic, sort of getting past all the basic stuff with, you know, do you have any health issues that you feel like could prevent you from doing an exercise program / eating in a certain way? Then you get into, okay, so when you think about your goals that you've obviously come to me for, do you feel like on this end of the spectrum, it's like super excited, or do you feel really nervous and anxious?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, so if this is your goal and this is something that you want to achieve, why do you feel really anxious about it? And when you think about your goals, do you feel empowered on this end or pressured on this end? So that gives you some insight into how rigid and how maybe sort of unrealistically high their expectations of themselves might be. And there's just little questions that kind of sort of open up a bit more, because what are your goals? I want to lose some fat. Doesn't really tell you much. I mean, even just asking why, but then stopping, because the first answer they give you, this is what I learned from a book that I read recently about these 7 questions that you need to ask. It's called The Coaching Habit. Keep saying, and what else, and what else, because the first answer they give is often not the problem. And then it's, so what do you what do you want as well? A lot of people kind of think they know what they want, but they haven't really stopped to ask themselves, like, oh yeah, I want to lose a bit of fat.
Yeah.
Do you? Or is it a feeling that you want? Is it a community that you're looking for? You know, you see people training together. Maybe it's that. But they happen to be all lean and stuff, but it's, there's a lot there that could be.
Yeah. No one, I'm going to put this out there as a big statement.
Oh, let's go.
No one wants to lose weight for the sake of losing weight.
Oh, yeah. No one. I'm going to fucking co-sign that. No.
What's the point?
No.
Like, even if I was losing weight for a fight, it would be
for a fight.
Get into a weight category. It would be to perform at the best. But most of the time, why do you want to lose weight? Sometimes people think they want to lose weight because of society and because of conditioning and because of what we're exposed to in the media. Sometimes because they're feeling fulfilled in their relationship and they think that losing weight is what is going to make them feel more attractive and therefore bring them closer to their partner. But you never just want to lose weight.
Yeah. But it always, not always, but it often starts with that. And even just digging a little bit more, you're like, oh, yeah, so I recently broke up. I recently did blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes it goes like, yeah, my mom was always so worried about her weight. And, I'm like, oh, babe, that's like, when things reinforce your behavior, especially at a young age, and then you even see it with the before and after pictures, where I get it in my group, like someone recently in my group, one of the girls got her first pull-up, and that is so fucking exciting. Like, that is one of the dopest things, man. When a girl gets her first pull-up, I'm like, yes, bitch, strong shit. Like, it's so exciting, man. And so he was like, yeah. And then like a few weeks later, she posted another post where she set out this goal to lose some weight, because we talk about proper goal setting, aligning with your values, process goals, outcome goals, value-based, all that bullshit, And so I was like, okay, now that I know how to set goals properly, I'm going to do it. And I've lost 2 point something kilos in the last something weeks. Oh my God, amazing, well done. It's like, you didn't even say anything when she got her first pull-up. But it's just like, it's often what's not said.
Yeah.
It's like you're praising her, and it's like, oh, people like me, like acceptance, community, tribe. Like back in the day, if you didn't have a tribe, you're dead.
Yeah.
And we still carry that. We still carry that now. So it's like, you don't want to feel like an outsider.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because your Instagram says that you are unfucking people's views on body image, right? So how...
Very audacious.
Oh yeah, we love it. So, but like, how...
I'm here to save you.
Yeah. Don't worry, Sunni's here.
Yeah. What a wanker.
But it's good. It's like, we need to unfuck people's views on body image. That's a classic example, actually. So bypassing a pull-up, which is going to be way more useful for the tribe, that strength, isn't it, in the olden days? So, you've lost 2 kilos, which is not going to be good for the tribe, because why have you lost weight? Are you ill? Are you okay? Why are you getting weaker? Potentially.
Mm.
And I was saying the other day, how fucked up is it that women can be one of the first thoughts of getting COVID? Oh, wait, at least I'll lose some weight. I heard someone say that, and I was like, no, how messed up is that? That we have been conditioned to think that weight loss is a silver lining of a horrible illness. And that is only more ingrained when people say, have you lost weight? You look amazing. Yeah, I've had
Mm.
mate. Or I've been
Mm.
through a horrible divorce and I've been
Mm.
that's why I've lost weight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still waking up from some of the hangovers of diet culture, like the sense of pride. I don't know if you got this as an athlete in your it's sort of when you were boxing. It's like I got it in my younger years, certainly. Uh, the sense of pride you feel when you lose your period, because it means how hard you're training.
Yeah, mate.
How
I just
big
thought,
you
oh,
are.
that's actually more convenient, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like, yes, no period. I can compete all the time now. But it's still like, so your body is not nourished enough to be able to function, and you're proud of that.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some shit to work out. Oh boy.
We're two people who've been doing the work for a long time.
And still I catch myself going, yeah, but that tribe stuff, just to circle back to that for a second, I've been watching, and just to go off on another tangent, because this is what we're doing. So I've been watching some content about, because I want to I would love to bridge the gap between people who are like on the fence and maybe have different opinions. And maybe like I still want to expose myself to other opinions as well, because I don't think that I have all the answers and that I'm right. And so I've been watching these. I actually sent a video essay to someone yesterday, because they were asking, I've shared this post about like, it's not the people, it's the systems that kind of create. So it's like, it's not sort of men, it's patriarchy. It's not white people, it's white supremacy. And it's like understanding the difference. Like, yeah, sure, like they perpetuate that, and don't get me wrong, they should absolutely be called out for, you know, their bullshit when they continue to sort of uphold those systems. But it's like, sometimes we're missing the forest from the trees. And one guy like said to me, yeah, I was talking to my missus about the not all men argument. And he was saying that the problem with some of these people that are sort of navigating the internet is that they are very much in their own bubble. And it's very sort of separate from the rest of the internet almost, especially some of the more extreme views. I'm talking like 4chaners and stuff. And yeah, so it ends up, and he goes, I don't know what to do about it. You don't know how to reach those people, because they're such an insular community. And I said, well, there's actually a video on that. If you want to understand the mechanics of how these people fall into these lines of thinking, and how to get your friend out if your friend ends up thinking one of these things or espousing some of these views. The video is called How to Radicalize a Normie, the alt-right playbook. And it goes into basically, how these people end up getting deeper and deeper into, you know, misogyny, and ultimately like really brutal racism, and potentially ultimately violence, shooting up places, you know, doing terrorist acts and things like that. And it was just like, yeah, it's about giving people a community. So if you're gonna come along and tell this person how wrong they are and how bad they are for the world, like, and you want to change their mind, you've got to give them somewhere to go. You can't take their community away from them and then expect them to just be cool, like hanging out on their own, because that's often what they joined. And that's like these normies. They started on these forums and these chats because they wanted to geek out about anime together.
Or
or
like
talk about
like they're
Fortnite.
part of something that is bigger than them.
Yeah,
Which is human
yeah,
nature, is we all want to feel
yeah,
part of a community, like a
yeah.
fundamental human need.
Yeah, but the way we operate now is it all about ostracizing, all about canceling, all about calling in. And again, I'm not saying that it's not it's not a lot of people's burden to carry. It's like they even said this in the video, like I get how you can't really bring someone into a space, like, so for example, maybe a bit more of a leftist space who's like a bit of a Nazi but working on it. You can't bring them into a diverse group, and you can't expect the people who are sort of, most harmed by these systems that create these people to shoulder the burden of fixing them or healing them or like trying to no, fuck that.
Yeah.
But you do got to give them, and what it was in this case was like a holding space, where they can work their stuff out, and it's often often those terrible beliefs that they have fall away very quickly when you change their environment, but you have to give them sort of a new tribe or a new place to just be, otherwise, and that's where canceling goes wrong a lot, I think.
That is so interesting. That is so interesting. It's like looking at it in a different way, isn't it? I've heard Brené Brown say before, like, if you think of goodies and baddies, which we think in all walks of life, religion, war, racists, um, the baddies never think of themselves as the baddies. I tell you a really good example of this: the new film Cruella, and it tells the story of Cruella de Vil, and why she hates Dalmatians. So Cruella's the baddie in the original Disney movie, but obviously we're seeing the backstory of Cruella in the new film. She's not the baddie. We can completely empathize with where she's come from, why she hates Dalmatians. And I guess
Right.
if you had the patience, or if you were the kind of person who could give that time to somebody, and it's like you said, we probably can't expect someone who's been marginalized by a person to then
Yeah.
burden. But if somebody else can kind of go, like, start empathize with them and kind of take them under the wing to understand something else, it's not taking someone straight from one end of the spectrum to the other, but it's about
Mm-hmm.
shuffling them down into the middle, isn't it?
Mm. All you need to do is just create a little ripple in the assumptions or in the storyline that casts a little bit of doubt
Yeah.
sometimes, and then you can begin to, like, once you get that little thread loose, you can keep working at it from there.
And I guess if there's a safe space as well to then open up a question forum, with a different brand of people. Very interesting.
Yeah.
This is like, this all comes down to, you know what, we used to watch a lot over lockdown, was that I Am a Murderer on Netflix, and it's about
I'm
serial,
not familiar with that one.
and it's about killers on death row, right? And like, it tells the story of what they've done to be put on death row. You never
Right.
killer. You never do. You always hear the backstory and go, "Ah, bless." If they'd just been shown more love as a child, or if someone had given them this opportunity, and you can always empathize with people who've done bad things, because again, it's separating the person from the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, massively. And then, like, taking the time to, and again, it's very much a privilege if you can do that, like,
Oh,
take the time
so hard.
to
Though. A lot of
understand. Yeah, not everyone has that time, not everyone has that space to be able to give so much to someone, especially if they've been hurt by, certain people like that. But yeah, that's there's this really, really, I'm so embarrassed that I don't remember her name, but she's like, I refer her to as like the realest feminist, like, as opposed to like an online person. She is this black woman. I can't remember what her name is, but proper, like, feminist will be like, how are you blanking on her name?
when you
But
remember,
anyway,
just let me know and we'll whack it in the show notes so that people can.
yeah, I'm gonna get her name, and I will. But basically, she's done a lot of work with. So she's a black woman, And she has, for example, she's done work in jail with people who have been like violent sexual offenders against women. She lived with people who were family with the KKK. She's done a bunch of stuff, and she popularized this idea called calling in, because we have calling out and then we have calling something in, and she's written about it and stuff. And that's basically about, it can be even like, instead of basically being in someone's comments going, you're being problematic or whatever it is, just like maybe DMing them and being like, hey, and again, I'm calling you in, I'm showing empathy. I'm not straight away judging you. Yeah. It's just like asking questions. Oh, that's interesting. Like, because sometimes all you like we say, it's like we don't have all the answers. It's like I just need to tell them the right view, and then they will get it. It's like, oh, that's a really interesting view. Why do you think that? Like, give them an opportunity to explain so you can understand how they got to where they got to. Yeah. Because without that, it's like, again, we're getting into this expert versus student teacher kind of vibe. And you want it to be a collaborative thing rather than, I'm going to show you. Like, I call it Captain Save-A-Ho mode. Like, I'm going to fix your fucking body image kind of twatty shit. Yeah. That's when you're being a Captain Save-A-Ho.
You're so wise, Sunni.
Really not. It's just a bunch of mistakes and a bunch of, I don't know. And like those people know, but I just need to find out. And this guy says it's like he calls it taming the advice monster. We all have an advice monster in us. We don't like silence. Yeah. I know. I felt activated by that. I was like, ooh. You got me there. I've got a massive advice monster inside me. There's like, I just know the answer. But again, the first person's problem often isn't the first problem. So it's like, I want to lose weight. Oh, that's the problem. Calorie deficit. If we were to go off the first thing, it can be anything. Yeah. But it's like, okay, and what else? What else? And what else? Why do you think that way? What got you to assume that? Have you considered, but not for ages until you really know where this person's coming from. And it's really difficult because sometimes, like, in the back of your mind, I just want you to shut the fuck up because I know the answer. And that's the advice monster.
Yeah. Because loads of us want to fix, loads of us want to help people, loads of people want to rescue, especially, I would say, people who work in health and fitness, because there's an element of you that wants to help people and wants to help them be better. And And so the advice monster is probably a loud shouter, and especially in us types.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it comes from, very sort of, noble place a lot of the time. But sometimes there's like, and this was when it got quite deep, it was like, it's because you maybe place a lot of value on the knowledge that you have. You want to feel like you can justify charging a certain amount of money to work with you, because we all like to feel that we add value. And if we're just, and one thing that is kind of shit about sort of being the person who is always giving advice is then that becomes expected of you. And so you always feel this pressure to give an answer, even when you don't know. And that's happened to me a few times. Someone's asking me a question about, it's sent me down now I'm doing a Girls Gone Strong certification because I'm like, I don't know about nutrition for people who are going through menopause. I didn't learn that in my nutrition course. I don't know what training considerations like. And now I have got this person, and sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, wow.
How much of that do you think comes from like imposter syndrome?
Hey?
How much of that? Because sometimes I think us fitness professionals do courses not for the information on the course, but for the confidence that the certificate will bring. And actually, a lot of stuff, like, God, there's people pissing me off on Instagram who have no qualifications, but are doing the job that I do, that I've done for all this time, that I've got these many certificates in, and they've got no qualifications and they've got no real experience, but they're doing it so confidently because it takes us back to that Dunning-Kruger effect. They don't know what they don't know yet.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating sometimes looking at that. But I'm like, actually, do I need to pay another however many hundreds of pounds to learn this thing that I seem to think of as a gap in my knowledge? Or can I just go away and research it and find it out, or talk to people who do know about it, or refer?
Yeah. Yeah. You can do all those things. You can absolutely do all those things, but sometimes the ego comes into it. You're like, oh, but then I'm going to be known, for me, it's like, I'm going to be known as that person who doesn't really know anything about this subject. And then you think that people are going to judge your whole self because you don't know about one specific area within nutrition. That's me anyway, because I have some issues around self-worth, and particularly around education.
Yeah,
So I'm always chasing education.
Absolutely get that. But it doesn't matter how many nutrition courses you do, there'll still be gaps in your knowledge because
Yep.
it's ever changing.
Mm.
And I've got a really good book called "Is Butter a Carb?" And I take a lot of information from that, and even that, I think it's 2019, and
Love the title.
stuff is changing, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to fact check that now as well. Like, you literally can't take anything as writ, and even still, we give out advice that's like, here's the advice, but I might be wrong, but here's the advice.
Yeah.
But it's not my fault.
Yeah. I've been reading stuff about just the eating behavior, because I find that I'm very drawn to that, because I've been very open with this on Instagram, but I've struggled with binge eating disorder. Yeah. And that's massive. That has been massively exacerbated by boxing.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, can these two things actually coexist? Can I fix my relationship with food and continue doing this sport that I love, but I know is kind of like the fuck boy, whereas like, or the fuck girl, or the fuck person.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat. And is that fuck person? It's very difficult to leave.
Yeah. And because then what happens is, and I'm the same as you, like this kind of journey of my coaching is now segueing into psychology and therapy. Mm-hmm. Now working with a therapist to deliver a course that covers like the whole being, mind, body, and soul, I guess. And it's that thing again of going, at what point do I stop? Because maybe I should just get a degree in psychology now, because most nutritional issues come down to emotions and mindset.
Yep. And then when you get that, you'd be wanting to do a master's.
Yeah. There'll be something else, won't there? Absolutely.
Because anytime you turn over a rock, there's going to be more questions.
Yeah.
It's like the way science works, I guess. That we think that we're gonna finally fill in this missing puzzle piece. But what happens when you do finally miss in the puzzle piece is that you realize the whole puzzle board actually expands and becomes bigger, because it always opens up more questions.
There's no edge pieces.
There's no edge pieces. Which is really frustrating, because existential dread. Everything there is to learn in the lifetime that you have, you won't even get through your whole reading list.
What's the point, Sunny? We might as well just give up now.
Exactly.
It's some bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm getting a dog and moving to the country.
Amazing. This body image stuff, how have you sort of navigated that with, because you mentioned, having abs, not having abs, people coming to you wanting abs?
Yeah. So Probably, I actually haven't had a lot of people come to me wanting abs in a while now. I guess probably because of the kind of content that I put out. Sometimes it is hard, like you look in the mirror and you don't look as lean as you used to. But for me, what I keep coming back to and what I do with clients is, well, what's important to you right now? And what's important to me right now is my business, my relationship, and it's life over fitness or leanness for me right now. So I just keep thinking that I'm like, yeah, I could be leaner, but why would I be dieting? Would I be dieting so that I look leaner so that people think I know more?
Mm.
Would it be to feel a certain way? And it's exactly what I do with clients. I just keep going, well, why? Let's get a little bit deeper into that. And I go, well, actually, if I'm healthy and happy now, then it's probably something a little bit toxic that would be driving me towards that unhealthy, because it would be unhealthy fat loss. I would have to sacrifice things that I don't want to sacrifice, like eating chocolate in front of Drag Race every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think what the best thing about, the most interesting thing about body image is it just shows you how fallible the human psyche can be. How you can, like, we've all had that experience where you look back at a photo and you're like, I fucking hated my body in that, and I look pang. Like, I look so good, and I remember just about crying. I don't know. I've, like, most women I've spoken to have noticed that phenomenon, and that's just like that's your body image. That's your perception. I even posted about this little body image exercise. I might actually send you. You probably know. There's the Center for Clinical Interventions, which deals with a lot of different mental health issues, both around food and, anxiety, whatever it might be. And there's these exercises, and basically what they do is, it's not about curing you, it's about just showing you how fucked up your perception is. Yeah. So one of them is on body image, and I recently did this with a client. I even posted it, like, if you have body image, do this. So look at your thumb, like really look at it for 1 minute, like look at that, like notice every line, every fissure, every crack, blister if you've got it, like flip it around, look at your nail, like how are your cuticles going? And like what people notice over time as they continue looking at their thumb is that, for one, they say, I've never actually noticed this stuff before. I never noticed how many lines there are. I've never noticed this weird thing on the side, whatever. And also another thing that happens is those things kind of tend to almost like become like exacerbated over the course of time. You're like, oh, you start to really notice it. And when you think about how often you look at yourself in the mirror and criticize it, and especially when you're looking for something, like you're looking for fat, you're looking for imperfection, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
And I found that as well in the last year. I have been staring at this fucking screen and I'm like, oh, get the few lines down.
Way more, aren't we? We don't usually see ourselves when we're talking to someone else.
Yeah, it's because you're looking at yourself more. So then you're noticing things. Yeah. And that's a lot of us, like, my friend is a what do you call it, a journalist, and she said, like, the amount of women going for Botox and that now, crazy. And I think, yeah, it's because you've been looking at your own fucking face for the last year. It's just a long time to be looking at one's own face.
Yeah, I know people who came straight out of lockdown and straight to get Botox.
Yeah, no shame.
No, absolutely not. People can do what they want, but like
do what they want.
But if you think of like that's come from looking at your face for so long, potentially, then think about where your desire to diet is coming from, maybe. Which is why I also think, based on what you just said, like how I'm not for the movement on Instagram that's like, look at my rolls, they're normal. Look at my cellulite, it's normal. I think that it comes from a good place, but it is, again, just focusing in on something that, if it was normal, which it is, We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to mention it. And we certainly don't need to zoom in on it and put it on Instagram.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
Normalize. Oh, I hate that word.
Normalize as well. I'm like, can we get rid of that?
That fucking word. And also, I feel like the most problematic things in society are things that need to be abnormalized. Like the things that are so normalized are things that you don't even fucking clock them, because that's how insidious the shit is.
Like our conditioned racism.
Yes.
We're all victims of, like it or not.
Yeah. You can't sort of roll around. You can't be in this society that's covered in shit and not expect to get a little bit on you as well.
Yeah.
And it's I got a good one the other day. The thing that's so normalized that I never even realized it before. In media, used as a comedic device, sexual assault against men for the lols.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this, and I was watching the video essay, and this stuff gets into kids' media. I'm talking like SpongeBob SquarePants, jokes about dropping soap and things like that, and also jokes about like using sort of, violent sexual offenses against men as a form of punishment, as a form of retribution for something that they've done. Like, rape should never be a punishment. For anything, but like this stuff gets into like, you like righteous retribution stuff. And then it was like the reason why like this stuff is funny, because what it's doing, like you got the jail scene or whatever, and there's a big guy, or often a big black guy or something, that comes along and he's about to make you your bitch. And we know that there is nothing more emasculating than being a fucking woman. And I was like,
yeah.
And now I can't unsee it.
Oh God.
Now I see it. Oh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I know. Oh, shook.
You've shook the whole internet because
Yeah.
you told me my internet connection is. You've shaken everything with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I hate the roles thing as well, though, just to go back to that, because, and again, this is kind of my gripe with body positivity as a whole, because I'm more like, I much prefer the sort of chat around body neutrality, because again, it's about decentering the body.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if you're positive about it, and who cares if you're negative about it? Like, take the body out the fucking equation. Just move it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like, you're still centering the body just because you're going, look at my rolls, I'm so relatable.
I'm a skinny person with rolls when I sit down and lean forward. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why, like I'm not having a crisis about not being as lean as I once was, because my body is conditioned for what it does now, which is a lot more sitting down and learning and coaching than it ever has been before. Like, I'm not conditioned to take a punch in the abs anymore, because I don't get punched in the abs.
That's because you are doing most of this online, but I bet some of your clients, mate, they're like, oh, if I could just reach through that screen. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Being your body is perfectly conditioned to do what you're currently doing now. And if you want to change what you're currently doing now, your body will change to reflect that. But there's nothing wrong with your body. It's just a reflection of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I fuck with that. Heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good. I'm gonna wrap up the conversation there. Actually, I'm gonna ask you some quick fires, but that's a good little point to end on now, isn't it?
Hey, that's great. Slap that. Put some fucking quotation marks around that bad boy.
Put that on a tweet and Instagram it.
That's some viral shit right there.
Right, Sunni, what would your last message to the people be? What do you want everybody listening to this podcast to hear or know or take home?
That's difficult. But I think the one thing that I would want people to know is that it's always, always, always more complicated than what's on the surface. I think I remember learning this recently. I was doing, like I said, a GGS certification, Girls Gone Strong Women Training Specialist, and they started talking about oxytocin and how that's a hug hormone, and that we need to get people feeling the oxytocin to get training. And then, mind you, these materials are written by a lot of experts in a lot of different areas. But I was like, oh, you're simplifying oxytocin. Whoever did the PR for oxytocin, they need to, Piers Morgan needs to get them on the phone, because they did an amazing job. Because it's like, yes, oxytocin, very important. It comes out when mum's got a new baby. It's the hug hormone. But also, it makes you a bit xenophobic. And it's like, I actually wanted to post that on the Facebook groups. Like, yeah, there's this chat about oxytocin, but there's some interesting stuff around what happens around othering and other groups that are in the other. When there's higher levels of oxytocin around, we tend to look after our own more. And it's like, if you're working with maybe people who aren't like you, is that a good thing? But yeah, so that would probably be, and that's just one little silly anecdotal example. I'm sorry, I know this is meant to be quick fire, but it's always a bit more complicated than what you think it is.
It's complicated for quick fire, Georgina.
So bad with quick fire, but I'm going to try, okay.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. What would your TED Talk be on?
What one would my TED Talk be on? Can I ask you, what would yours be on?
Oh, shit. My TED Talk. My TED Talk would be on being yourself in order to flourish. Because then I could cover joy, being authentic, queer representation, weirdness, all of those things under that umbrella heading.
So, I don't know what mine would be. My TED Talk, what do I want people to know? I would want people to know that the shit you're probably really scared about. No, I don't like making sweeping generalizations. Oh,
it's what the people want.
Come on, just make it. It's like a lot of the stuff that many people tend to worry about.
Well done.
Is in your own mind and nowhere else. So that goes for the way you think about your body. If you think about, like, do my friends love me because I have a six-pack? Did they stop loving me since I lost it? Do my colleagues like actually coming for a drink with me after work because of just the role I'm in? Or is it because maybe they like my personality? It's just about, I guess, removing the self from the things that you do, or like just the way you define yourself. And especially, like, because you can get into these, I define myself as a boxer, and if you put all your eggs in that one basket and say, like, if I had a career changing injury tomorrow, I mean, I shouldn't be boxing anymore, let's be honest, but if I did, and all of my value and self-worth and was in this one box of boxing, and then I suddenly had to leave boxing, it would be like this person without a community now. And it's like I have no way to define myself. Who am I now? I don't know. So it's just like, yeah, finding ways to.
Have you read Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway?
I haven't.
That covers that a little bit. If you imagine you've got a square split into 9 boxes, like a grid, each of your boxes should be full. Because if you just have your relationship or your career taking up your full box, which is your life, if that gets taken away, if you lost your job or you broke up from your relationship, then suddenly you've got an empty box. And actually what you want is that only 1 box out of 9 has been taken away and you've got 8 other things that, you know.
Oh, do you know what you've just done? You've made me realize that my TED Talk would be different.
Go on then. What would it be?
So it would probably be that the things that maybe it's sort of similar, but the things that we're scared of aren't necessarily bad in and of themselves. So we have a fear of, like, we pathologize a lot of perfectly normal human behaviors. I don't feel too great in my skin today. Okay, that's very normal in the society that we live in, very understandable. Can you go out there and be the fucking badass that you are despite that? Oh, you're feeling anxious about something. That makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. We are prone to negativity. Just in case the proverbial saber-toothed tiger is in the bushes, we want to assume the worst. Is that necessarily bad in and of itself? Well, if it gets to a point where it's fucking your livelihood, you can't work, etc., yeah, absolutely. But I'm feeling anxious. I think that's okay. Like you say, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, just the good bad binary. We need to see, like, sometimes the bad stuff has a lot of utility, man. Like, even the anxiety. Like, if you didn't feel anxiety before you competed, babes, imagine that. Like, you need to feel that. You need that to push you a little bit.
Away from the saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah. Imagine if you couldn't fight or fly. That would suck. Anyway, go on with this slow fire.
Yeah, we're done with the slow fire. That was another podcast on the end there. That was
okay.
Sunni, it's been so good talking to you. Tell people where they can come and find you.
So mostly I live in the Instagram streets under Sunni Hybrid Fit with underscores in between the name.
Yeah, Sunni Hybrid Fit. And it's Sunni with an I.
That's right.
Awesome. And I'm going to come and see you in London for some boxing.
Oh, I'm so excited, mate. Give me the dates. We're going to do all the training and all the food. Yeah. Do you drink?
No, not at the moment. Like, I'm not, I'd never say never, but I just haven't in a while and I'm not missing it. So not really right now.
Respect. But yeah, maybe that too. Who knows? Definitely food.
Definitely food. Yeah.
Definitely food. Oh.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Mate, thanks for having me. It's been lovely to chat to you. I feel like I could chat to you for like 9 hours.
Well, we will soon. But
yeah, I can't wait, mate. Let me know when you're down.
Bye, Sunni.
If you want to improve your well-being in a non-wanky way, you can join hundreds of other like-minded people in my monthly subscription group for live training sessions, daily workouts, nutrition tips, meditations, and more. Only $10 a month. Email me now, georgina@georginahalltraining.com.
Thank you for listening to the Female Empowered podcast. If you want to hear more from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Female Empowered, where you can also get involved with our discussions and feel free to send us a message.